What's up, Lowlives? It's your boy Rhino back with another Tea and Crumpets episode, reigniting the Revolutionary War episode of the Lowlife podcast. This week we're going across the pond. We're fucking international, man. We're joined by a fellow podcaster and bike enthusiast, Josh.
Yo, what's happening, man? Thanks for having us on, mate. I've obviously messaged you a little bit and trying to hook this up, which is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on. I'm actually really surprised how good the stream here is, considering we're like across a fucking ocean.
It's I say this is incredible, isn't it? Because obviously, like my kids, they grew up, internet was already well going, connections are great, and they don't understand like how like it's incredible that we can do this, even though it's been around for a while, you know?
Yeah, dude, we talk to people in like Ohio that have more like dropped packets and shit than across to where are you anyways? You're in the UK?
Yeah. So I'm based up north of England. So literally in between a place called Hull and York. York's very historical, like old war shit and like stuff that I don't really know about. But there's like buildings there that are like hundreds and hundreds of years old, and
it's probably what New York.
Cool. It's a cool place.
New York is probably named after that place, right?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the old York. I don't know if I had to guess, but so that's cool. So you're born and bred right outside of England, like around that area?
No. So I'm originally from the other side of London. So I don't actually have a northern accent. My missus is from York. And yeah, so I grew up like probably an hour from London, south of London. And then when 9 years later, I actually traveled another 2,000 miles away to the south of Spain, and I spent from 9 years old till I was 19 in Spain.
Oh shit! No shit. So, do you habla español?
Lo hablo perfectamente, amigo.
Okay, a little bit, poquito. I guess spending fucking a decade there will do that, right?
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
Yeah,
shit.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's I've never been to the UK, but it's I've worked with people from the UK, and their spatial awareness is like really off from like in America. They're like, oh, I'm coming to the States. Maybe I'll pop in and see you, and I'm like, where are you going? They're like, oh, I'm going to be in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm like, do you know how fucking far San Antonio, Texas is from New Hampshire? Like the United States is
crazy,
fucking massive, but the UK is relatively small. I mean, you can circumvent that little island, you know what I mean, by car.
Well, that's the thing, right? And it's like, so for example, like you got people that 3-4 hours away, they're like, oh, it's too far to travel. And to be honest, like in the UK, it's crazy because I can get to my sisters in the south of Spain quicker than I can get to my parents in the south of England.
Oh, wow.
Just traffic's bad here. Like it is massively overpopulated. Obviously way more cars on the road, and because it is an island, and some people think it's like this massive country.
Yeah.
But in the respect of bike culture, man, like the UK, like the history of the bike culture in the UK is phenomenal. Like obviously the cafe racer scene, that's London territory. It started in London, and obviously it's traveled the world, isn't it? Like America loved the cafe scene. The Japanese like truly dive into the cafe racer scene, like period correct stuff, and and obviously the Americans as well. Like you guys love the Triumphs, don't you?
Yeah, some of us do. I actually have one. It's my first Triumph. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's sitting downstairs leaking oil, plenty of oil.
Yeah, they do that.
They're pretty. I mean, definitely. Yeah, Triumphs. I'm a chopper dude, right? So like, not a. I did have a period of time where I was digging the cafe racers. There was a cool show, Cafe Racer or whatever, that was on, and they had a bunch of bike builders, and I liked watching them build bikes, but I never got into the cafe racer stuff like super heavy. But as far as choppers go, Triumphs are up there in in the aesthetic, you know, like, I think that like I'm a Harley guy, like through and through, but if, you know, I can justify getting a Triumph, you know, they have that look. They're big enough and fast enough to pull my fat ass around. So, yeah, I'm hoping to once the snow melt, which by the way, we just got like a fucking foot of snow. So, fuck you, Punxsutawney Phil, but I will be riding a chopper hopefully in the next month or two, hopefully on a road. I don't know. Hopefully that Triumph.
Yeah.
So,
that's
yeah, I wanted to ask you. So, you have a podcast. What's the name of the podcast?
so mine's just called it's called the Let's Talk Motorcycle Podcast. You know, it's just that was what I thought and what's crazy is like I've already realized that somewhat. I interview tattooists and people that own clothing brands, so it's kind of like, well, it's cool, you know. Some people go, but it's not. I don't own a bike, and I'm like, that's just the name of it. Like, you know, it's based around bikes, you know, and but yeah, so that's it. The Let's Talk Motorcycle Podcast is called.
Yeah, I like it. See, some people, they hate it when we don't talk about motorcycles, and they'll be like, yeah, oh, that's great, just start talking about motorcycles again. And it's like, bro, it's more than just motorcycle the machine. It's about like the fucking whole culture around it, you know.
Yeah, man.
And the whole spirit behind it. Like, if you have like I'm a chopper guy and I love do it yourself dudes and all that shit, but if you ride bikes, like really any kind of bike, and you really love bikes and you respect the culture and you respect things like, you know, anything in that culture, the art that's in this culture, like through tattooing or fucking pinstriping or whatever it is, leather work, like it's all the same thing, you know, it's all part of that same sphere. And yeah, when we used to be Lowlife Chopper Podcast, and boy howdy, you have someone that doesn't have a chopper on there, and the chopper guys they get really protective about that sort of thing. But it's like now we really wanted to broaden it out because there's so much cool shit out there, you know what I mean, to talk about. But definitely it's at the center of it is the motorcycles. And talking motorcycles, how long ago did you start that?
So how long did I start? How long ago did I start the podcast, or like the whole triple six thing? So
what is actually, since you mentioned it, what is 666?
Yeah, so I don't know, like man, I'm shit with like marketing and things like that, and like I've realized that I kind of bit myself with it, and so I started 666 Customs because the idea was that I wanted to document me attempting to build my bikes, and when I say attempting, like my mindset is very much, it's not, none of my content is how to, it's more watch me try not to fuck up, like literally, because I don't know how to fucking weld, and I don't know how to cut shit up properly, but obviously I'm willing to learn, and my whole purpose with it all is if I can inspire somebody else to have a go, to basically step out of their comfort zone and move out of their way. Because for me, I just held myself back, you know, like I would never be on a camera. You know, I'm a part-time tattooist, and there's no pictures of me on my tattoo page because I was I fucking struggle with this shit, right? So I started posting pictures of people's bikes on 666 Customs on Facebook, with the idea of obviously slowly gathering like people that got interested in it and hopefully watch my YouTube. But then I realized that that us little dudes that don't have massive budgets and like a really cool sick garage or a place to work, we kind of go under the radar a little bit. You know, we're kind of like, naturally people are more interested in the shovels, the pans, the knuckleheads, you know, all the cool stuff, which that's not at all taking away from how cool, you know, the proper, well, not that there is a proper chopper scene. At the end of the day, if you want to chop something up, it's a chopper in my eyes. So then I interviewed somebody that just didn't have really a big platform, and like I said off air, like it was sat with my phone and like no headphones or anything really, and it just kind of evolved from there. And I'm just really good at chatting, man. I don't shut the fuck up, and I love this culture, and I just realized that that I found my place in this culture. You know, I don't have a massive budget to be building bikes all the time and traveling the world. And I just thought, well, if this is what I have to offer, that I really care about this culture. Like I haven't just woken up one day and gone, oh, bikes and tattoos are cool as fuck. Like I grew up in this world, you know, as well as most of us have, or we've always had an interest in it. I just woke up one day and went, fuck it. I got to learn to put my face in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, I'm so appreciative of the guys that do that. They get their face out, get their voice out, get their YouTube videos out, you know, like that really, like when I first started, you don't know anybody because if you're not part of a culture, you don't know really how to get into it. You know what I mean? And you're kind of on the outside looking in, and yeah, you go to the shows and yeah, you poke your nose in and stuff, but you're not really a part of it until you start participating in it. And those guys early on, like I'm talking, you know, just guys that created content like Chop Ahead DVD, like that made you feel like you were a part of that culture because you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I could see myself doing the same thing, you know. Or the guys on YouTube that did all the tutorial stuff. You know, I'm thinking like Lowbrow Customs, they do a ton of that shit. Really helps you out when you have no fucking friends, you know, or you have friends, but they're not into motorcycles, you know, like, and it's invaluable, you know, and that's really what drew me to continuing on this podcast was really is like, it meant so much to me and it helped me out through that time where it was just like, I was just fucking by myself on an island. And then you, all of a sudden you have these people in your life that you can talk to and you have a similar interest. And it's something that everybody's so passionate about that you're instant friends. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. As soon as you start talking to anybody, and I'm always surprised, and I'm sure, and let me know if you have a similar experience, but you're basically cold called guys and you're just like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? They don't fucking know who you are. But the thing that you guys have in common is that you guys have a common, you know, hobby or interest. And it's like, to me, it's like, oh, you're into bikes? Then you're automatically cooler than 99% of the motherfuckers you meet on the street, you know?
Yeah.
So you already passed the test. So you're already in with me if you're into bikes. So yeah, shit, let's talk, man. You know, buys you a little bit of fucking integrity, a little bit of trust, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like I just realized that like, it's just keeping it fucking real. Like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, don't get me wrong. Like I'm kind of, so I'm not the guy, like I say to people when they come on my show, like, look, you're not going to benefit anything directly from my shows and you're not going to get followers. Like I have a very, very small following. And the only reason that I'm interested in pushing my following is because I can effectively get more people to discover what I'm doing and get people to listen to other people's stories, right? Because I don't know if you have the same, but we effectively repeat ourselves, you know, because we're interviewing new people every time that we effectively end up repeating ourselves. And I just say like, look, I just want people to hear your story. You know, like for me, if you've been in, you know, if you've had a dark past or you've overcome addiction and you all of a sudden have got into building bikes or you've built a business that's effectively feeding yourself and your employees, like there's nothing more inspiring than that, you know? Oh, yeah. And, you know, I mean, I interviewed a dude that has a fucking steakhouse, you know, and like to hear his story, man, to hear about his past and then hear about what he's achieving now. It's like, how's that not fucking inspiring? Like, I think the world are looking for real shit. They just don't even know they're looking for it, you know?
Yeah. No, it's true. You know, the thing too is, you know, that inspiration, you know, like I'm not the type of guy that listens to those dudes that like go out and exercise a lot. I'm like, I ain't running like David Goggins or whatever the fuck his name is. That shit doesn't inspire me. But when I hear some real fucking dregs of society, some real fucking lowlifes talk about like just little W's, man, you know, like just being able, like getting to come up and like coming across a panhead, building a chopper and fucking not knowing what the fuck you're doing, but powering through it. It's like, those are the inspiring stories to me, you know, because I feel like I'm an underdog all the time too, you know, like it's 10 a.m. on a Sunday and I'm drinking beer. So I'm obviously not a role model, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I'm on the coffee.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know how to interview unless I'm drinking, but that's another story. You said you said you work fucking nights. So we're doing this on a Sunday morning. What's your day job?
So it's half free on the afternoon for me. I start work at 6 o'clock tonight, and I work till 6 in the morning. So my day job, my full time job is I make bottle caps, man. So I'm by trade. It sounds great on paper. By trade, I'm a processing engineer in molten plastics.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, as a matter of fact, actually, the company I work for, they have 2 factories over in America. I can't remember exactly where they are, but this company they have like 20 plus factories around the world.
Oh shit.
And yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's obviously programming, and this is what makes it crazy. Is like I should be good at fucking technology because I effectively have to change parameters every day on bottle caps. You know, we're making like 96 bottle caps in 3.2 seconds. You know, it's fucking yeah, man. And like I said, and you imagine you guys have two of these factories in America doing it.
Holy
you know,
shit.
Obviously America's huge, isn't it? So you know, you guys. But yeah, it's cool. But obviously, my end goal is to do 666 Customs as a full-time business, you know, and not, you know, hopefully if I can get my YouTube channel up and running well enough where I'm cutting shit up and doing cool interviews like you are, and you know, and hopefully monetize that, and you know, we'll see how it goes. The thing is, man, I don't have an education. I'm not the brightest of people. But the idea is that if I can teach my kids just to not give up and just keep going, because it'd be interesting. Because obviously you've done like 140 episodes, are you something like that?
This is 345.
Oh shit, yeah. So I must have been listening to one recently because of the way you have your graphics. I remember seeing 140 something, yeah, and which I should know because obviously I've been listening to the latest one as well.
Yeah, but I guess the show is at 340. I'm probably in the hundreds because I just started like 2 years ago or something.
Righto. Yeah. But that's it though. It's like it'd be interesting to know, like for you, like, because I don't get a massive listening. You know, I don't get like hundreds of people listening, and but it'd be interesting to know, like for you, is it like, do you find it hard when saying that you put a lot of effort into it and it may not get the reaction you kind of wanted?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty steady because we have people that just like, they listen every week. You know, like we have a pretty good, strong core. So I pretty much know what my listens are going to be every week. And if we have like a fucking great guest on, like, you know, Oxford Choppers always gets hundreds of more, you know, listens. Haley gets hundreds of more listens, you know.
Yeah, she's cool, isn't she?
Yeah, dude, she was so much fun to hang out with, dude. And I want to like hang out with her in person. She's fucking wicked funny. And I wish like a lot of this stuff that before and after we recorded when we were talking, I had on air, but she wants to do one where she can like really cut loose and do one just for like our Patreons and stuff. And I think it's going to be fucking so much fun. But she's just like one of the most authentic, real people. She's just like fun to be around. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm hoping to get her to come down to our show or something, just to hang out in person. But yeah, man, like as far as listenership goes, we have like a pretty strong core, and then there's guys that find us every, you know, we're slowly going up. You know what I mean? Like you just grind away every week, and you talk to people, and then their friends are like, "Oh fuck, I didn't even know you had a podcast." You know, like it's hard to get out there in front of people if they don't know who the fuck you are. The only way to do that is like be one of those weird social media rats that spends your whole time fucking with hashtags, and like I have no interest in that. It's just like I'll do the bare minimum on social media. Like I'll try to post some stuff just so people know that it's there, and you know, hopefully people share it and new people find us. But you know, it's hard to, I'm not expecting it to ever explode. You know what I mean? Like it's niche shit. Like there's only so many people that are into motorcycles, and then from there, the people that really work on their own shit and are interested in like the fucking how to make the sausage, on how to build a chopper or how to fucking do that shit, pretty minimal, you know, like it's a fraction of the population. And then of those guys that actually do that, they actually have to like me. And a lot of them probably listen to me like, this fucking guy's an idiot, you know, but whatever. It's just, I do it for the guys that do listen. And I'd like to reach more people. Cause like we have, like our listenership has been described kind of like as a cult, you know, and the dudes that are into it, like they're super into it. And when we see them out, like we're fucking boys, you know, like there's dudes that have been listening to the show forever. And it's like, if you're a lowlife, like I'll just an example, like we have a friend, Bougie Billy, he travels like for his job, and he'll hit us up and he'll be like, do you know anybody in Colorado? And I'll be like, yeah, we just interviewed so-and-so, you know, and he'll fucking go and hit him up and be like, yo, let's hang out. And they'll fucking hang out just like cool. By proxy through the show. And that was always the coolest thing, was the community aspect of it to me. Because when I first started getting the bikes, there was no community here in New Hampshire, like until there was a show, and then all of the people that would go to Massachusetts or, you know, wherever to get their fucking chopper fix, we're all friends, you know. So you kind of need something central, like a show or an event or you know, a program, something that like brings these people together, and you have that common bond, you know. So that's for us is, you know, like I said, I don't think we're ever going to be on, you know, Gears TV or whatever, but it's, you just try to put out the best, most entertaining shit you can. Because I still listen to it, you know, myself, because when I'm actually doing the interview, you know, I'm just focused on you and I talking, but then I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, I fucking sound retarded. But your show format is a little bit differently, because you actually do these interviews live. How does that work?
Yeah, well, when I said off air earlier, so like I'm shit with technology, so it was just like so simple just to hit live on Facebook when I first did mine on Facebook, and then add a guest. Purely because I'm shit with fucking editing and shit. So I just did that like that, and to be honest, like I think for me, because like being completely honest, like I don't have a massive budget to travel to shows and to build bikes, right? So kind of going back to like the root cause of like, or the root thing of what I'm doing is, I just feel that the people on like a $5 budget also have the equal right to have the limelight, you know. Mm-hmm. And so that was it really, was like it became a thing where, not that I get a lot of people watching, but if they do and they interact, it's really important that the people that necessarily can't afford to travel to these really cool shows or even build a bike or whatever feel that they belong to something, because obviously, unfortunately, a lot of people struggle mentally, and don't get me wrong, mate, not that I'm about supporting fucking like feminine masculinity, because I'm not, but however, dudes struggle too, you know, and I'm not there. Like in the UK, there's this massive saying, it's okay not to be okay, which is 100%, it's okay to struggle, but I feel that there's something really important missing off the end, which is it's not okay to stay there. Because here in England, it's really easy to encourage someone to feel down and then keep them down. You give them medication, you don't inspire them to get their ass up and get going, you know? And I know it sounds like I'm veering off, but I'm not. But it's the point being is, if someone, and you would have had this as well, man, if somebody interacts live, for example, and they're just asking questions about bikes, but that person might be really struggling, you know, they might never have been able to feel that they ever could face a show or even face the outside, man. And I kind of feel that people like us, if we've got the ability to chat shit, whether it's about bikes or tattoos or whatever, like we almost have a duty to them people that aren't able to discover this shit firsthand. You know, I don't know if that makes any sense. So that kind of keeping it alive was kind of trying to also, you know, the idea of having someone that listens to your show, that's a massive fan of you, that's able to literally drop a question in on YouTube and ask you a question, that for me is cool as fuck.
Yeah.
You know.
So is that where you typically go live? You go live on YouTube?
So I go live on my Facebook page and YouTube both at the same time.
Okay.
I used to do Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, but Instagram only supports portrait, and I don't know how to. You can switch it, but you can only switch one or the other.
Yeah.
And literally, man, that was kind of why I did it, was because I'm fucking stupid and I don't know how. I'm not very good at editing.
Yeah. Editing is hard. I'd like to do more live stuff, but it's like another extra layer of shit to worry about, and it's hard enough to get a fucking show out every week. How often do your shows come out? Is it a weekly thing, bi-weekly, or?
So when I season 1, I called it episode 1 to 50. I did them live. I averaged one a week. At some point, I was doing, as well as working full time and tattooing as and when I got the chance to. Was but sometimes I was doing 2, 3 in a week. But I kind of figured that for me, I feel it was more important to, instead of chasing episodes after episodes, was to kind of step back and try to improve on the quality of them. And the idea for me was to take season 2 on the road. I've managed to do 2 episodes on the road. I got to interview, I don't know if you follow a guy on Instagram called Keep It Country, Lloyd, built by Lloyd in north of England. He's building some cool as fuck, man, shovels, pans, knuckles. Oh my God. Sure. Yeah, he's like the stuff that you guys are building. And but he's so you've heard of the 101 show? Have you ever heard of that? That's a really cool show down south of England. Very period correct choppers, club style bikes. So he won he built a knuckle, and it's hardtail front and back. And not only is it hardtail front end, it's also curved, man. It's double skin front forks, like how he did it. He does explain how he did it on my show, but
oh no shit. I gotta check that out.
And that's in a knuckle. That's a knucklehead.
Dude, that's fucking crazy. So, what was the dude's name again? So you can check him out.
So he's built. So on Instagram, he's called Keep It Country.
Keep It Country. Oh shit.
On Instagram, yeah, built by Lloyd, award-winning bike builder. He's been featured on the front page. So we have one main magazine that survived, revolution and evolution and shit of how this stuff's done. And we have a magazine in the UK called Backstreet Heroes. It's been published for 40 years. It's pretty much the main custom magazine in the UK. And he's been featured on that. I believe 3 times. He's made front page and center spread. Oh, so real cool, man. Real fucking cool. And his garage is really small. It's really small. It's not massive, but it's on the side of his house. Mm-hmm. Very, very family orientated dude. And I think it's incredible that he's able to build such high level bikes and clearly be I got to meet his wife and his daughter, and you can clearly see he's slowly found a sweet spot between bike life and family life. And I think that's incredible,
That's one of the questions we get most often is, how do you balance those two things, is family and bike building? Because the hobby by design is kind of like a solo thing. It's definitely exclusive. I mean, the amount of time that you need to put in the garage, you can have your kids help you out, maybe. I mean, how old are your kids?
Well, my youngest is 10. My oldest is 13.
Okay. So you're getting into that area where 13, I mean, they could actually be useful in a garage, and hang out if they were into that sort of thing. Are they interested in motorcycles?
So my eldest, he had a pit bike, rode that for a little bit, and then kind of fell out of love with it a little bit, and he's got massively into his mountain bikes. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, he has a mountain bike all stripped down at the bottom of the garden. Which to be honest though, dude, it's I think it's even better that my kids follow their own journey, like you guys call it soccer, but my eldest was massively into football, and we call it football here. Obviously, for you guys, football is kind of like the equivalent of rugby, innit? Different rules, but the same shape ball and all that shit. But he followed that, and I respect him I respect my kids doing their own thing
Yeah.
because I don't want them to kind of like feel that they have to impress me, um, I got into bikes because my dad's into bikes, but not that I was trying to impress my dad because I kind of have my own outlook on a bike. But obviously, if you kind of get your dad's like fucking nod of approval, even better. But yeah, so like my kids, like I said, I mean, my eldest is like fucking really good with photography, man. He gets it from his mum, and like I'm trying to get him to say, look, you help me with this shit, and if we can make money, I'm going to pay you. Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of going back to the whole trying to inspire my kids to to chase what they want to, because I don't agree with the education system. I think like as long as you have the will to fucking keep going, you're going to achieve whatever you want in life anyway.
Yeah. Everybody loves a good story of overcoming adversity and like creation too, like doing something creative on your own, like whether it's photography or building something or whatever it is. It's like doing it yourself is paramount to me. In like it says so much about your character, and it says so much about like what your aptitude to do more things, like you're building, you if you can build a mountain bike, if you can like fucking take pictures that look good and do all the fucking all the science behind that too, like all the process behind like developing pictures and shit, and teaching yourself, like I always felt like a piece of fucking shit when I was younger because I was a high school dropout, and you have people in your life like fucking counselors or fucking peers, and they're all like, you're a fucking piece of shit. There's only one way to be successful in this life. You have to do good in school, you go to college, you get a good degree, blah, 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 blah. That's not how it is though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy because like when you look into history, like for example, Richard Branson, who's like fucking known around the world, man, that dude's fucking dyslexic.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and you look at some of like the greatest, most appreciated people, let's face it, only a handful of them really ever followed that whole, you've got to get a degree, fall into line, learn how to exist. I mean, the amount of times that I turn around to my missus and I say, look, I wish I was that guy that could just fucking exist, like, fall into line and just have no desire to achieve things. And I say I wish because kind of going back to how like I don't have a shit ton of money like a lot of people don't, but like everything for me is difficult because like my camera's on finance. Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't go out and buy a £600 camera just like that. Yep. My laptop that I'm using now is still Windows 7. Do you know what I mean? It's like and I only tell this to people because it's to show like, look, if I'm fucking useless at this shit with no money effectively, and if I can fucking do it, then imagine what you could do with an idea of how to actually do this stuff in a better way with a bit better technology. It's not about me, it like even like my platform isn't about me. I got some really cool things going on in the background with 666 Customs that's effectively, if people were going to use my platform, which is effectively what I'm creating, I think it's cool that people don't even know who I am. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because it really isn't about me. It's about inspiring other people to have a go, and that's if that's what I give my fucking kids from this. It's like I can't teach my son how the world. I'm teaching myself. You know, it's like.
Yeah, but you will. I mean, those are skills that like you develop, and then you can eventually pass them on. Like, dude, my dad didn't know how to weld, and he wasn't very mechanically inclined either. Like, the only mechanical shit that he used to do was we had a fucking '88 VW Rabbit diesel that he'd have to get working so he could go to work. But it was like that quintessential like, hey, it's Sunday night, hold the light, and he's screaming at me type of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But, I taught myself a lot, and, definitely through like, it's almost like a cheat code having the internet. You know what I mean? Like, I've learned
YouTube's my best friend.
Oh yeah. Like YouTube, like, especially with welding. What kind of welding are you getting into? Are you doing MIG or TIG?
So I'm doing a bit of MIG.
Mig.
Obviously, I'd love to learn how to TIG. But to be honest, I haven't welded since like July last year. I've got a build that I'm on with now. But it's waiting for money, man.
Mhm.
It's waiting for money. It's simple as that. You know, I got to fix my shed. I got to. I don't know how you guys do measurements, but I got like a 6 foot by 10 foot shed, which is
We use feet.
do you do feet?
We do feet.
Awesome. Yeah. Right. Sorry, man. Yeah. So, so I got, at the moment, I have a 10 foot by 6 foot shed, and I need to go like 2 feet wider and like about another foot higher to try and work clever within my space, you know. And then the idea for that is obviously going to be where I finish my projects, and also I want to do my podcast in there, man, because I think it's cool as fuck. Like you know, you've had guests somewhere they're sat next to their bikes, man. It just adds to the atmosphere, whether people are listening or not. You know, and even like Haley was sat in her garage, wasn't she? You know, sat next to, she had a bike in the background, and you know, because I generally listen to your podcast on, you know, once I discovered it on Spotify, I have it on in the car when I'm driving to work. You know, when I'm fucking around.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is everybody wants to be in the garage, man. That's like my favorite place in the world, man, is just like hanging out in the garage. You're around bikes and parts, and it smells like oil and gas and fucking getting dirty and shit. And like doing the podcast thing it's so not that. It's so not cathartic. It's not fun. You know what I mean? Like, definitely talking to people is fun. Everything that leads up to it and everything after it absolutely fucking blows. But like, it's the easiest thing I do is when we hit record and then we just get to fucking shoot the breeze and talk about whatever. But yeah, I love it because you know, everybody gets set up and they have their project behind them, and you get to see their bike and you're like, hey, what's that? And fucking, you know, they'll take you, walk you around and shit. And it's like being in a garage with them, you know? Yeah, it's so much fun. And I think, you know, like initially when I started, I was in the garage, but when you get to a point where, you know, like you actually need a studio when you have multiple people talking and shit, it's super easy. And actually I envy you still, because like when I was doing stuff remote, just me in a room, you don't have to worry about all that stuff like mic bleed and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? You can just kind of focus on, you can do it wherever, you know, it's just you and a mic. But what kind of bike are you building?
So I'm building it's called a Lex Motor, right? So it's Chinese. And like it's a Chinese 125, so the engine's based on the you know the Honda CG, Honda CG 125.
Yeah, okay.
Very, very popular bike around the world. It's been in mass produce. They've been producing Honda CG since like 1978, and they're still producing them now. Like, you know, it's a 125 pushrod engine.
Are you saying it's a 1250 cc engine? Like
no, 125 cc, 125
125. Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Of course.
I was hearing 1250. Okay.
Yeah. No. So that's because you guys do different measurements differently on engines, don't you? So you do like the 118 Harley engine and fucking like stuff like that, don't you? So mine's a 125 cc 125.
Okay.
100, that's what we call it over here. It's based on a cruiser. Obviously, the Chinese copy everything, and people chat shit on the Chinese stuff. But I've owned this bike for 12 years, man. And to be honest, it's 125 cc. It's flat out everywhere. Like when I ride it, and so when I first built it, man, this is kind of going back to like where I used a bed frame, a 40mm tube bed frame as an exhaust system. I literally didn't have like spare 20 quid to buy a meter and a half of pipe. And I went around the back of my shed, and there's I pulled this bed apart, and I fucking literally, like, it was just behind my shed anyway. And I was like thinking, right, what can I do to build a straight through exhaust? So I went around the back of my shed, and here's this fucking pipe, and I'm like, do you know what, that fits. The downside was it's so thin that the noise resonates through the pipe. It sounds disgusting, but I didn't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, look, I don't fucking care. And and then obviously learning how to weld. So it comes out the cylinder and then goes around the down tube of the frame. So there's 14 pie cuts individually cut and welded to get it to wrap around the frame.
Oh shit.
And it fucking worked. You know what I mean? It's like, and this is literally going back to like how, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the 30, 40 grand, £1,000, $40,000 builds. I love that shit, but I also think that it's so cool to get someone to fucking dig shit out the back of their garden to build a bike. And I used a biscuit tin, like a cookie tin, right? Literally a cookie tin as my electric box. I literally cut the end off, tack welded it all together, and I made a box underneath my fucking seat that held all my electrics. And obviously that was like right at the beginning, and now I'm rebuilding it again. And obviously this one will be all documented on my YouTube channel. And yeah, so it's like cheap to run, man. It's like 20 quid a year road tax. It'll use about fucking 7-8 liters of fuel a week. But it's foot clutch, hand shifter, all made. And like my hand shift is fucking crazy because like obviously you have like you guys have the jockey shift, don't you? Which is like you lean down straight off the gearbox, and then like your suicide shifts. Most people, where you've probably seen it as well, but I noticed most people have it on like a pendulum. Yeah, so obviously when they shift up, it's got a support bar coming off maybe off the head steady, and then it has like a bearing system, and so like, you know, it effectively just rotates backwards and forwards. But mine is like fucking just straight off the gearbox, and it's got a full-on fucking throw on it.
And
you know,
it's way up here too. It's like
yeah, man, it's like up like next to the fuel tank.
Shit.
But it's got I had to do some like weird bends in it because the bike's so small, as you can imagine. It's only 125 cc. I had to do like a curve, so when I shift up into second, it just misses my leg, and then I had to curve it back forward so it's not effectively shifting right next to my ear, you know?
Yeah.
But and that's what it was about. It was just like fucking like having a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? That's the best part about making custom shit for your bike, though, is you make it just for you. You know, like it clears your leg. It might not clear my leg. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah.
Like it's not, you're not making a bike to resell it or whatever. Like you're making it set up for you. So like you're comfortable or it can do the thing that you want it to do. That's super cool. Yeah. I've been out the game because I've been focused solely on the podcast for so many months now. But actually this morning I feel fucking great. I just bought a bunch of shit, a bunch of stainless steel and stuff to make bungs and shit, because I'm going to be digging into I got a 99 Softail, and that's my next project. Yeah, so clearing off the lift, and I'm going to start chopping some shit up. I got some fucking metal on the way, and I'm stoked to do just that, to build a bike that I want to build, you know, like exactly how I want to build it. Yeah, I'm looking to I want this thing to be like fucking stupid looking. Like it's not going to look cool. It's just going to be super comfortable, and it's going to have the ability to just fucking go. I want to do some long haul shit this summer.
So are you leaving the Softail bit on it, or are you going to do are you doing hardtail, or?
I'm leaving the Softail on this one for now.
Yeah.
Part of that is just, I don't have the money to get a frame and do the whole fucking thing. But then there's the other part of me that kind of, I've seen some dudes put together like some pretty sick Softail chops. And I did finance it, so I still have money on it. So I don't want to like cut it all the way apart yet. But I definitely want to hardtail it eventually. But I wanted to, I can't ride it around like it is again, because it's so fucking stupid looking. It has like skulls and Kyriak and shit on it, and it's gray. I fucking hate like silver gray like motorcycles. So yeah, I'm gonna strip that down and just do some light stuff on it, like sissy bar, fucking tank, fender, and I want to have I found these stainless steel jerry cans for gas, and I want to have you know how like they have them on the Jeeps where you can just like they have like the centerpiece, so you can just like pop them on and off real quick. I want to have one of those, and have it like polished like a mirror, but then be able
Oh,
to just
fucking hell, that's cool.
be able to. I actually want to weld a bung in the bottom with like with a hose that like I can unravel, so I don't even have to stop and just. I'll have 5 gallons of
Yeah, that's
gas
cool
back
as
there,
fuck,
you
bro.
know,
That's cool.
something like that. So I can just like hop on it and fucking go to Ohio or out to the Midwest or something. Do some long haul shit. Probably gonna do some floorboards
Yeah.
on it. But yeah, that
I'm
one
not a fan of floorboards.
I've never
I'm
been.
not a fan of them.
Have you ever run them?
I've had to go on someone else's bike with them, and like I just because like so for me, like I like my chops and my street fighters and that, but I also kind of like to fucking hang off them a bit, you know, like
Yeah.
a bit of fucking leaning off a little bit. Like, and it's people see me on my little 125 and I'm fucking like literally starting to drag the edge of my boot, hanging off it with this fucking shifter. And I'm, you know, I like to,
Yeah.
I don't know, do you know what I mean? So I like to kind of ride the bike, have a bit of fun with it. And I just don't think you can really do it with floorboards, in my opinion.
I would make a mini set. I would do ones that like a mini set that are probably a little bit high. I like my high mids. My boy, he has full floorboards on his fucking Softail. Actually, he chopped his into a hardtail, but riding with him, they scrape constantly because they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
But I've never had floorboards. I've never used them before. So I want to try it out. And again, it's like, you know, when you're making this shit, you have an idea in your head and it sounds great in theory, but then in practice you're like, no, that's not it. So I'm at least going to try it, and just to try something new. And because the idea of this thing is a long haul thing, and it's like, I've never had floorboards before. If I can make them like a cool custom set that is out of the way, that's like comfortable like that, I think that would be dope. But I do have a penchant for falling asleep on my motorcycle sometimes. I don't know.
I've done that.
Yeah, dude, like for whatever reason, like the vibration, like if you're just going and it's just like, and you're in like 5th gear or whatever, like I get sleepy. I start yawning and shit. Even if I'm like, like the turns and stuff for whatever, like the excitement of the being on the motorcycle or whatever, I get fucking sleepy. So I'm afraid that like these floorboards, if I make it too comfortable, then I'll actually fall asleep.
Yeah, I've done it like, but I finished the 12-hour night shift and I overindulged in some stuff I shouldn't have been, and that added to the fucking riding with a mini set of apes and like,
oh yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I'm an old man now, so like when I go out drinking, I always fall asleep. Like Dan, my co-host Dan will attest to that every time, because he doesn't drink. So whenever we go anywhere,
no, neither do I.
Oh, you don't drink at all? How are you?
No,
have you always been sober, or did you recently get sober?
No, I never been massively into drink. Yeah, there's a few reasons, a few things, like, you know, like personal stuff, but not me directly. No, I've never been a drunk, anything like that. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of grew up around it a little bit. You know, just left a kind of a bit of bitter taste in the mouth type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I ain't got no problem. I used to have a drink every now and again, you know, like most people. But I mean, like last year I had four pints all year. You know, I've gone like 2-3 years with nothing. But yeah, no, I just don't know. I don't really fuck with it really. Yeah. I'd sooner sit around people smoking, you know, smoking the old good stuff.
The old wacky tobacco.
Yeah, man. But again, like, just because I enjoy the smell of it, I'm not even really a smoker. But let's face it, right? Like, people that generally smoke, they're not going to cause you any bother, really. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, but yeah, no. So kind of going back to your Softail, like, what about doing like solid mounts, replacing the suspension with the solid mounts? You know, the springs, the bags underneath. Yeah, like that's cool as well.
Yeah, I guess if I was gonna do it, I would do it all the way. And
yeah,
you see, part of it too is when I do hardtail it, I want to put a 4-speed in there too. I wanted to get I want to get a ratchet top and do that whole thing. So it's kind of like it's this much money, and I'm like, you dude, I got a fucking family. I feed them. I pay for shit. Like I don't have extra
Yep.
cash. Like the only reason I purchased stuff today is because my fucking, I got my fucking tax return back from the government.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And most of it went to paying off debt, that I'm in. And then whatever crumbs were left over, I'm like, yeah, I can probably get a 6-foot, rod of fucking stainless 304. But yeah, dude, it's just, that's the struggle. It's like, dude, I wish I could just, I'm so bad with money too. Like I can't say no to certain bikes like that Triumph, dude. I did not need that. Like,
No.
but I had the money in the account. So I'm like, I couldn't say no. I was like, oh fuck, dude. It was like $1,500. It's a Triumph chopper ready to go. Like runs and rides.
Yeah.
Fucking let's get at it, But, yeah, that's the struggle, dude. You just got to work within your means and you got to work within your time frame too. Like I don't know where these I mean, I know now that there are still come ups where like you can get a panhead and you can get like a cone shovel or you can get like a nice fucking bike, a good platform for cheap. But the cost of that is you have to be on like Facebook Marketplace or on fucking Craigslist or whatever, like 24/7, just constantly cruising. And as soon as that shit comes up, you got to pounce on it and you have to have a little bit of cash in the reserves,
Yeah.
But how is it to get like fucking Harley stuff out in the UK? Like because you guys must have like mostly metric shit out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so the Harley scene's huge everywhere, really, isn't it? I mean, obviously, like there are countries that legally they can't hardtail a bike. So like when you see like, for example, like you got Marcos from Free Custom Cycles, who's like massive in Spain. He travels like Yokohama to like the Moon Eyes. He's currently he's friends with Sosa Metalworks in Vegas. He's over in Vegas now. But I respect anyone in the bike scene, but especially guys that have to play by rules. I mean, like that's why I kind of mentioned to you about doing like the hard mounts on the Softail, because legally somebody like Marcos, or especially in Spain, I can't vouch for other countries, but legally he can't chop a frame. Like,
oh shit!
If it's on a Spanish plate, he can't chop it. So that's why when you think like these guys have fucking rules to play to, and they're still equally up there playing with the big guys who are able to pay somebody to sand custom some axle plates to do like a period correct shovel or panhead or knuckle. Like when these dudes are playing with the big boys and equally doing the cool shit, like it's like, how many people aren't aware of the game that he has to play?
Yeah,
to get there.
They got the hoops. It's like kneecapping them, dude. It's like, oh, you gotta play with the same dudes in the same game, but there's a different set of rules for you.
Yeah, exactly right. And like over there, you can't go and put like if you've got a 1450, twin like Evo twin cam, like you can't just go and put a set of SNS 1650 or whatever cc they do, set of big bores on it. You're not allowed to by law. I mean, obviously people do. You grind off the fucking numbers off the end. You know what I mean, you can fuck around with shit, and there are obviously rules you can push, but then there are stuff you can't.
It's so weird. Yeah. It's weird to me to even think, so I'm from America, but I'm also from New Hampshire, which is live free or die state. And dude, I could make a fucking Centaur motorcycle if I wanted to. I could chop a goddamn horse in half and have fucking front end, fucking girder, rear end, horse ass. And I could probably get a fucking license plate for it, But there's places.
So we have similar rules in England. I mean, like I say, in the UK, we're very lucky as well. But
yeah,
but again, it's.
I mean, like. So if you wanted to build, so you guys can hardtail, like you can modify a frame and get it registered and all that shit.
Yeah.
But what about like all the safety stuff, like blinkers and fucking shit like that? Do you need to have that to get roadworthy, or do people just say fuck it and run it dirty?
Yeah, so like, so obviously, for example, we call over here an inspection is called an MOT. So anything that's younger than 40 years old needs an MOT. And obviously it kind of comes down to like not what you know, but who you know. So indicators legally are required anything before, I think 1984 blinkers indicators were introduced in the UK. I could be wrong, but I'm sure it's 1984. But it's kind of like this grey area. If there was no evidence of a wiring loom, i.e., the switch gear on the bars, the little dummy lights in the speedo, you could kind of get away with it. So, like my 125 is 2010. But I literally have nothing on the handlebars apart from the horn. And the only reason I have the horn there is because obviously people are fucking idiots in their car. But I don't have any switch gear. Obviously left side doesn't have anything, just the grip. The left side has the horn, but the right side just has a throttle and a brake. I want to get away without running a front brake. But my MOT, my inspection guy said not a chance. You know, it's like I'll let the indicators go, the blinkers, but you have to run a front brake. So kind of finishing answering your question was obviously as your shovels and pans are all a lot of them are like pre-19. 40 years old, right? So
they're kind of grandfathered in,
yeah. So obviously, when they're importing them from America, for example, there's obviously a lot of them are still coming in from America. They're already straight away just getting registered on a heritage plate, basically. And obviously, what's cool in the UK is before a certain year, the registration plates could be black and white, which looks really cool. It's like fucking like really old school looking. See, whereas I have to run a yellow plate with black letters, unless I want to be getting pulled up by the police and shit like that. But these guys, like you say, they apply for obviously UK registration. And they don't even have to get them inspected. So that's how they're able to take an original shovel, cut the back end off, run no front brake, like all the stuff you guys are already doing. That's how they're able to do it with this old stuff, is because they don't have to fucking play by the same rules, basically.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. It must be big money to import a bike like that, though, because they only, like in America, obviously they built them here. So there's a fuck ton of those older bikes like sitting around or like but like we only sent so many to England, and the ones that you import, I mean, must cost an arm and a leg, dude.
Well, I think from listening to your podcast and listening to other people talking on podcasts, like I could be wrong, but I'm sure the price range is about the same. I mean, my friend bought my friend bought he's got a shovel. No, he hasn't. Sorry, no, he's got a pan with some. I can't remember the name of the primary casings, but the casings are like the ones with the fins on. They're built. They're machined. They were cast by a really famous guy back in the day, and he's got a 4-speed. And like engine and gearbox, I think is in the region of about £10,000 just for the engine and gearbox. Which, if I'm not correct, that's about the same as what you guys are paying for.
Yeah,
for
what's the conversion rate for what's a pound versus a dollar?
I don't know. I have to Google it. But I think it's about like £1 is about I think off the top of my head, I think it's about $1.20. I think.
Okay, yeah, it's in the neighborhood.
Let me have a look. But yeah, so he's like 10 grand into an engine and gearbox.
Okay.
But then obviously, like for a full build, obviously depending who builds it for you, if you're paying someone to build it, you're easily into like the 20 plus thousand, like 20 closer to 30 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
But I'm trying to have a look here. Sorry, I'm not very good at multitasking here. Yeah, but like and so like Sportsters, for example, have become fucking it's the entry level for the hipster guy, isn't it? So it's like Sportsters now are like fucking $5-6 grand on average. Like you go and get yourself a 2015 48, and you're paying like fucking $8 grand, and again, this is like obviously extreme prices. They're still out there if you're willing to look for like a 95, 2003 model, like last of the carbs. You can still pick them up for an 883 for about $3.5 grand.
Yeah, I was just looking I was looking at an 03 for 1,500, and I was like, I probably get that for $9. No,
that's still cheap for you guys. Yeah, that's still cheap.
I do that all day.
Yeah,
I had an 03. I regret selling it. That fucking thing is awesome, dude.
Because what year was it they stopped doing the carbs? Was it like 2008?
I think on
like
the
I don't know.
I think on the Sportster, the 03 was the last.
Oh right, okay.
And then they went rubber mount in EFI in 04, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of. I mean, I've never owned a. My old man has a 1450. I keep calling it a heritage, but he keeps saying it's not. That's had some cam work done on it and top end work, because I think obviously they're known for having problems with the top end, didn't they? If you know, I think then they start breaking down and you start getting like metal in the oil and things like that. But he's had
sounds like something Harley would do. Yeah,
I think he's had like the gear conversion done on it, and he's had something. They do a conversion kit. Again, I love Harleys. I've never owned one, but but yeah, it's he's ridden it like across to Portugal, and he fucking beats ass on this thing. That's the thing, and like people that don't know Harleys think they're fucking slow, and it's like, no, these things get down and go, man.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, our boy fucking Kenny, dude, he drag races these fucking things. Like it depends on what you put in them. You can make them fucking fast as fuck.
Yeah.
What's do Triumphs, are they still made in fucking England, or do they do they import them from like India or some shit now?
Oh, do you know what? I wouldn't like to say. I mean, they're expensive.
Yeah.
For what they are. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're made out of the UK.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously now they're running all this fucking stupid canvas system. So even down to changing your fucking headlights can effectively stop the bike from running. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why, dude. I don't know why car companies and motorcycle companies don't go back to the basics. Like, I don't know who these people are that are buying like the brand new Bronco or the brand new like who's buying brand new bikes with a bunch of fucking computers in it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get the allure, and I don't understand why they can't just do one. Just like re-release an old car or motorcycle that was fucking awesome that everybody loved, and release it again. The same
it's not
as
cost
it was.
Effective, is it? It's
Pay
not cost effective to do it,
Like, can't they though? Just like once, just once as a social experiment.
That's what I mean, right? It's like obviously they know that people like us are going to work on them, and obviously they make more money. They make more money on the servicing of that when people physically can't do the shit. It's like I'm sure I heard a story somewhere that the Mercedes 190D nearly cost Mercedes like the fucking company. How true it is because it'll do like 1 million kilometers. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you go over to like Africa, you go South Africa and that, like there are Mercedes 190s running everywhere, like with like fucking 1 million kilometers on them, mechanical fuel pumps, old fashioned simple diesel injectors.
Yeah, you go down to Cuba, you see like VW things and still from the fucking 50, right? Yeah, because that shit was built to last. Nowadays, everything's built to fucking, what is it? The fucking, they make it
5 year.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, like I got all new appliances when I moved to my house, every single one of them broke within the first year. Dude, refrigerator, like different parts of it broke. Dishwasher broke. Like, they don't build stuff to fucking last even a reasonable amount of time. Like,
no,
your shit should last more than a year if you're paying fucking, like appliance money for it. But, yeah, dude, cars and motorcycles, I don't get who's buying this stuff. I don't understand. I don't know who's buying it.
Well, it's obviously the people that don't fucking. I mean, obviously they're pushing the fucking electric shit on people, and like people don't care about it. I think life's so stressful now that people don't even have time to care. Like they're like, let's face it. If you asked probably a lot of people in America, would you rather fucking drive a Tesla or afford to run a fucking 5-liter Mustang, like, or a fucking Camaro or fucking or a Challenger or whatever? Like, even people that aren't really into cars would rather run them. I mean, I got a 1989 ZX10 Kawasaki ZX10. I built into like a cafe racer / street fighter, and I pulled up to the set of lights and there's this fucking Tesla next to me, and obviously I thought, okay, we'll go, we'll have a bit of fun, and the lights went and off we went, and he absolutely annihilated me, And we got to the next set of lights and we went again. And I figured that, do you know what? Like, I'm going to get myself arrested because my bike's fucking spitting flames and making stupid noises. You're in a fucking battery powered car. You look like a dick.
Dude, you know what?
Like,
it's funny that you mentioned Street Fighter. And I was like, dude, I haven't heard that term except for once. And I want to give a shout out, dude, Del Boy's Garage. He's a fucking YouTuber. And I learned so much shit from that dude. Yeah, dude, he's an English guy. I don't know where the fuck he is, but he's awesome. Yeah, dude, he's fucking.
I'll check him out, man.
Dude,
Del Boy's Garage.
Yeah, he's like for real. He actually did a lot of Sportster stuff. So like, he'd tell you like he goes through the whole fucking thing. Yeah, dude, it's an awesome YouTube channel. But he built a Street Fighter, and I was like, what the fuck's a Street Fighter? I don't.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know? So the history of a Street Fighter is basically a lot of guys that rode fucking super bikes, you know, like R1s, ZX10s. When they smashed them up, naturally, half of the guys can't afford to put the fairings back on them, right? So it become a thing, especially it became a thing in the 2000s. There was actually a magazine that was quite big in the UK. It was called Street Fighter magazine. That they would put they put a set of Renfalls on, you know, a set of top mounts, Renfalls, take all the fairing off, a cyborg looking headlight, jack the back end up. And then obviously some people that were really good at fabrication and got like proper into it, they fucking slap a turbo on the side of an R1.
Yeah.
Sometimes extend the swing arm a little bit. So kind of like, you know, like in America, you guys have a massive scene with I don't know what the name of the scene is, but you have where you'll take a full on superbike, Hayabusa, stretch the back end out and put a 300 rear wheel with a crazy paint job. That's kind of almost like a version of like a Street Fighter, right? It's obviously, except from you know, you guys run the standard clip-ons and fairing. But yes, yeah, so effectively Street Fighter scene was started off because really people couldn't afford to put the fairings back on. I mean, and also you guys have the Hoonigan Cup series, don't you? Which is where people will take a naked bike, and that's kind of like a street. That's, to be fair, that's probably closer to a Street Fighter.
Yeah, I feel like Street Fighter is like kind of like almost Mad Maxy. Like it's yeah,
exactly right.
It's kind of like Frankenstein back together. You can tell it's like it's a performance bike underneath, but it doesn't look.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like neon anymore. You know, like they'll fucking do flat black. There'll be chains on it and shit, or they'll stitch. I've seen them stitch up the. They do the metal wire to stitch up the fairing that cracked and shit. Yeah. It looks cool.
Yeah, so it's making a reappearance now. So basically, what's happening now is you've got the guys. This is my opinion on it. I could be wrong, but however, the scene is making a reappearance. But what I think's happening is the cafe racer scene did so well, where people were obviously taking 70s Jap bikes, effectively CB750s, you know, all that cool stuff, the old GSX, and making cool cafe races with really nice paint jobs. Now what's happening is the 90s, the 80s, 90s, 2000 performance bikes that obviously are a lot quicker, generally speaking. They're now taking the same approach to when they built cafe races with. They put time into the paint jobs, you know, made them look cool, made them look retro. So the Street Fighters are coming back like that. Like people aren't just paying attention to the engineering. They're now making them look nice, you know, like they're actually putting thought and hiding the wiring looms, you know, tidying up the, you know, like the transitions from a standard tank into a cool seat cowl, you know, and they're just putting a lot more effort into the appearance, whereas obviously the engineering side's always been cool. You know, like I say, Street Fighter's fucking were capable of still doing like 180 mile an hour, you know, which, you know, so it's making a reappearance, man. I mean, there's some really cool stuff happening now, obviously, and affordability of like CNCing, right? You know, CAD work and that and machining it's become more affordable, isn't it? It's still expensive, but it's become more affordable.
Yeah. Well, people have invested in themselves over the last, 10 years. Like a lot of this bike stuff was, in the early aughts, you had Orange County choppers, you had these fucking crazy expensive, like tens of thousands, $70,000 bikes and shit like that. And we've got back to the point where it's like, hey, dudes that are just really interested in it, making do with hand tools and limited space and limited know-how, and people get really creative, you know, and especially with the internet and social media and stuff, you can connect with dudes from anywhere in the world, like Indonesia. Those dudes are like straight up in flip flops, like with a homemade fucking welder off a car battery, you know, like making shit happen, making shit look cool. And that like inspires you. You're like, oh, this guy doesn't even have fucking shoes and he's making this fucking awesome ass bike. I got no excuse anymore, you know, like get the fuck up and do something about it, you know? Get those creative fucking juices flowing, you know?
Well, that's it, right? And it's like, through me podcasting, I got invited to be a co-host on a new podcast, and it's effectively because obviously, like you guys have a lot of podcasts that are based around shows, you know, or like there are a lot of people that are involved massively in like Born Free, Mama Tried, and you know, and there's a lot of podcasts massively involved in the shows, whether it be just talking about bike builders. So basically, we've done a similar thing here, and we have a show. Let's say I'm just a co-host. I'm not involved directly in the show, but there's a show called the Custom Culture Blast Off, and it's effectively about everything. It's pinstriping, airbrushing, tattooing. You know, it has everything at the show. There's like 12 tattoo artists working out of a barn that's fully licensed, and then there's obviously panel jam artists. Pretty much your scene, like it's the Americana scene basically. And I put the idea forward to the owner of doing a budget biker build off, and the idea is that you have £1,000 to spend on a bike. The market value, this is where people have been getting a bit confused. The market value is not allowed to exceed 2,000. And why I put that in is because we all have a friend that will let you buy their Harley, whether it be an 883, like you said, you can get an 883 for $900. It's to prevent that, like, because you might be able to get an 883 for $900, but let's face it, if you scroll through, like you have obviously Craigslist, Marketplace, eBay, the average value of that 883 is not $900, right. You know, and the idea is to completely and utterly level the playing field. It's like, unfortunately, most people will instantly be dragged more towards a Harley build just because the nostalgia of it, obviously, effectively the whole custom culture, the whole chopper scene is built around the war bikes. You know, people from the war obviously cut their old WLAs up and things like that, and obviously created this scene that we all love. But the idea is like, to take it back to level the playing field completely. And I've said to people, it's great, like the scene that we're all a part of, but there is a lot of gatekeeping going on, and I respect it. But I feel that some of these people are forgetting where this scene started. Like, you know, you're talking about period correct bikes and how it has to be original this, original that. Like, let's not forget that the original owner of that bike probably had no money, was probably mentally fucked up. Hence how when you guys finish your war, the government's just abandoned the guys, which obviously we all know formed MCs off of that. And we all know the culture that we all love was formed off of people just being dumped with their bike and then chopping it up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I'm an uneducated nobody in this scene, but like I've not forgot where this scene started. So that's kind of like where the whole inspiration for this budget biker build-off scene was. Like, you have £1,000 to spend on a bike. I don't care if you turn up with a Honda C90, a Cub, or a 50cc Chinese Twist and Go. If you're willing to cut it up and you only have £500 to spend on customizing it, you have the right to play the game, you know? Right. And it's getting some really good interest, man.
That's awesome.
Because, like, obviously, do you know what I mean? Because, like, there is, like you say, obviously, you guys started this whole scene and that. And, like you were saying, like, Orange County Choppers, you know, Discovery Channel Biker Build Off. This is incredible. It inspired so many people, but there's so many people that don't have the money or the know-how or are too scared to spend that money because they don't know what they're doing. It's about remembering where this whole culture started, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I love that because the thing is it's not cool to have money. And it is not cool to be able to buy fucking knuckleheads and flip them and shit. It's cool to be broke. It's cool to not have skill sets and to fucking have big brass balls and just do it anyways, you know? That's what I really respect about it is like, you don't have the know-how, you don't have the money, you shouldn't be here, you know, like fucking do it, dude, you know, like make mistakes.
Absolutely, man.
You know, that's the thing that's cool about it is to take the risk, you know, to do a backflip off the fucking bridge, you know, into the water. Like, do cool shit, dude. Don't be fucking afraid, you know?
You know, like we already have like 3 bikes entered already, and what's really cool, like there's a company in the UK that they were known for Triumph builds, like modern Bonnevilles, and you know they're well respected for what they do. And I've had these guys reach out and go, do you know what, we want to get involved in that? And it's like literally, I feel it's achieved everything it's wanted to achieve. It's had the guys that are too snobby to look past the end of their nose. Oh, you can't build a bike for £1,500 all in. Yeah, you can. You're just sat there looking at your fucking 30 grand knucklehead or whatever, like, or your Evo. It doesn't matter, like whatever bike it is, or your Triumphs. Like, don't forget where you fucking come from. Like, you know, and this is really important to me. It's like, because like, I reached out to a company that hopefully they were going to sponsor it, and they literally they didn't want to, which was cool. And then they started questioning me like, "Don't you think you should change, like, do away with the budget side?" And I'm like, "Well, why?" And they're like, "Well, it's going to encourage people to use Chinese parts." And I'm like, "Well, I built a whole 1987 ZX10 off of Chinese parts, like." And they're like, "But it's destroying our industry." It's like, well, to be honest, I guarantee there'll be people out there with a shit ton of money that literally have no knowledge about bikes and want to get involved, and the first place they're naturally going to draw to is the commonly known platform of eBay. And eBay, generally speaking, only sell Chinese parts, but the idea is that someone's going to build a bike, turn up, and then see you stood there gifting them maybe a set of billet machined blinkers, and then going, "Oh no shit, this is actually what quality is." Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm a massive believer in, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about. Like, if you really believe in what you're doing, and you're going to have your market of people anyway, so why not try and get involved and show that you support grassroots building, which is effectively where these bikes that you're machining parts from started. Back in the wars, you know, and it's like, don't forget where this shit started, you know.
And also like those companies that are saying that, it's like, subsidize it if you care so much about it, you know, because like I would only use the highest quality parts on my builds if I could afford it. I can't though. So
absolutely.
So it's some things I have to skimp on, some things I won't, you know, like when you're talking about maybe some safety shit like brakes or some electronic stuff. I usually spend the money, but when it comes to things that aren't load bearing and maybe like it's just like, you know, you get the cheap thing, or better yet is like make it yourself, you know, make as much as you can yourself as possible. But I can see that, you know, like it's just, like you said, man, it's like that's what it's about, is making something out of nothing and making it like through innovation. It's not about buying a bunch of parts. You can't make a sweet build by just buying a bunch of Chinese parts and bolting them on, you know, like you're going to have to use your skills to like come up with something completely original. And
I mean,
that's awesome.
And like, obviously, kind of like going back to like the budget bike build off, like the £500 doesn't like perishable. So like, I'm not asking you to scrimp on brakes. Like at the end of the day, like if you want to use EBC pads or whatever the top Brembo, Brembo pads. Obviously, if you want to buy Brembo calipers, that comes out your budget because you're trying to put parts on because it fits the style of build you're building. Mm-hmm. But I'm not like, if you want to go out and buy Firestone vintage style fucking cool as fuck tires, you buy them, but just remember that your build isn't going to be judged upon how cool your tires are. Yes, okay, they fit the period, they look awesome, but you will not have your vote go down for you spending £300 on a set of Firestone tires, because there might be the guy sat next to you that's only been able to use fucking Chinese fucking nylon based tires. Like it's literally, yes, it fits the period of what you're building, but it's irrelevant. Like, I don't want you to scrimp on safety, and I don't want you to scrimp on servicing, because the whole point is, like, I want people to build a bike that they're not just going to chuck at the back of their garage because they can't use it. Like, I want you to be able to build a bike for £1,500, which is 100% possible, but I want you to be able to sell it if you feel you have to. Because like recently I interviewed a guy that built a fucking cool as fuck shovel, but like he opened up about how this fucking cost him nearly more than just his money in his pocket. You know, like this is something that you probably know more than me about. Is like how many builders out there are building bikes for like born free, that or you know, because obviously they're incredible. Like to me, the bikes being built for born free are like the pinnacle. They're the top. But how many of these dudes are like not openly open up and going, do you know what? I nearly lost my relationship over this build, or, you know, because again, it kind of comes back to talking about like trying to promote real men to open up a little bit, like not encouraging pussies, like it's not just the time that they put in the garage, it's sacrificing the family life, it's nearly costing their relationships, like, because there will be, like, guaranteed there's been people on your shows, because you've had fucking incredible people on, that probably maybe have spoken to you about it during the podcast or spoke to you off air, like, dude, like, this nearly cost me fucking everything. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, these people, if they can't afford to build them bikes, like, build a bike that's on a budget, man. Like you equally matter. Like that's what's so cool about what I'm doing is like I was inspired off a Discovery Channel biker build off. You know, I recently got to interview Bobby from Indian Larry Motorcycles, and like for me, growing up on the other side of the world, getting inspired off of like what Larry was doing. I mean, I got Larry's question mark in my hand, man. Like. The guy inspired me as well as hundreds of thousands of other people. But let's face it, I'm never going to be able to afford to build, currently in my position, I'm never going to be able to afford to build a shovel or a panhead, you know? Do you know what I mean? It's like, so I'm going to build my fucking Chinese shit, and my shit equally matters as much as the born free bikes, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a fucking dick measuring contest, you know? Like, again, like the thing that is most important to me is that you do stuff yourself, because I think that's the spirit of building motorcycles is like, if I have enough money, I can just have someone put together a bunch of parts for me, or, you know, do my paint, do my upholstery, do the fabrication. Like I could build a bike with money, but the thing that I like about it is the learning of new skill sets and the time it takes to do something that you love, and like the failure and the misery of fucking, you know, like that. I know what it takes to put together a bike, and I know that it's not all fucking peaches and sunshine, you know. It's fucking, yeah, man. It's, you lose money. Sometimes you fuck something up and you're like, fuck, I really couldn't afford to fuck that up, you know? Yeah. And but you figure it out because of the love of the craft and the love of riding the motorcycle. And by the way, the end goal is to ride the fucking thing, you know? Yeah, exactly. People that build bikes to show them, that's kind of like masturbation to me, you know, like you should be building it to ride it around. Like, yeah, cool. Put it in a show. I love shows. I love seeing other people's shit. Go and showcase it. That's awesome. But you should be building stuff for people to ride. And if you're like a shop and you're building it for someone to ride it to their specifications, that's awesome. And if you're building it for yourself, don't fucking just make it look a certain way, you know, or do, but then definitely ride it. And I've done that too, where you're like, you know, it's cool, it's usable, you know, sometimes you err on the side of cool, and sometimes your nuts go numb because it's the fucking seat sucks, or because fucking like you have I had fucking high mids on my shovel head, and I was like, these look dope as fuck, but I am not riding this motherfucker like this, you know. But yeah, man, it's just that's the journey. Is just like, you don't have to spend a ton of fucking money. You don't have to be super good mechanically to fucking figure this shit out. It's doable for your average dude. It's just about how much time you got, you know. You got to be patient, and it might take you 3 years to build the fucking thing. That's fine. You don't need a new bike build every season. No. Yeah, but I like that. I mean, here's the thing is, budget bike building build-offs, that's its own thing. You know, we already have your Born Frees, and you have your all these other bike building things for like knuckleheads and panheads with like some of the greatest minds out there in the community. Yeah, like, exactly. This is just something different. Yeah. No, exactly. And that's what I mean. It's like, you know, kind of going back to the actual show, the Custom Culture Blast Off is like for the guys that do have the, you know, period correct, or like, you know, they've invested a lot of time in there and they're representing their shop in that build. Like, there's a place for them bikes too, you know what I mean? And they won't even be next to the budget bike and build off stuff. They'll be on the other side of the ground, like in a completely different setting, like, you know, because
this is what I mean. It's like, I'm not here to chat shit on the 30, 40 grand builds. I love that stuff. As a matter of fact, let's face, like, for me, that's what inspired me. You know, I haven't got Indian Larry's question mark in my hand because I just thought, fuck it, why not? Like, he built the 30, 40 grand builds, you know, and, you know, let's face it, the cool shit inspires most people originally, but it was about everything I'm doing, like, kind of connects into what I stand for. It's like I said to Jake, who runs the show, it's like, I won't be a part of this biker build off event if it goes against what I stand for. You know, I am the guy that's using fucking parts of a bed to build an exhaust system, or you know, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've leveled up a little bit. Like, yeah, okay, now I can spend £15 on 1.5 meters of 40mm tubing, like proper stuff, but not much more than that. You know, it's, you know, like my 125. I've done away with the rear shocks, and I've had solid bars made to do it, so it's still a hardtail. You know, it's very much kind of more like the style the Japanese are building the old, you know, when they do away with the, you know, that real narrow squatted back end.
Yeah.
Mid, you know, I love that fucking style, man. It's like, you know, I really do think it's a cool style. And yeah, so it's, you know, it's like the engine I'm about to put, I'm going to be doing a 350cc conversion on it, and trying to learn more about a marketing side of social, you know, trying to almost not clickbait, but trying to get people to go, oh shit, what's this? Is like, if you go on YouTube and put in Honda CG performance engine build, the reality is most of it that comes up, 99% of it, it's Asia. So you can't even understand what they're saying, but it's cool to watch because you see these guys, like you said, they're flip flops. They're like homemade, knocking big end pins out of the cranks, you know, and they're like, lathes are like held together with hopes and dreams. And it's like, I kind of want to have a go at like doing video content like that, and knowing it's gonna ruffle a few feathers, right? People are gonna go, you can't do that, it's not gonna work, you're gonna fucking destroy the crank. It's like, well, probably, but find me someone else that's speaking in English that's creating content like this, you know, because effectively I want to promote my podcast and get more people involved. So if I have to waste, I'm not going to waste any money. It's going to work. You know, I'm going to take my time with it and pick up people's heads. And luckily, by sitting and talking with people, you create a priceless bit of connection, which is, you know, you networking. Like you have this better than I do. Like, you could probably fucking message some of the greatest fucking bike builders in the world, and they're going to reply to you straight away. You know, like,
no, they will not. I've done that.
No. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. No, it's funny because you were saying, you know, like people hating on this and that, you know, they're like, oh, you're gonna fucking, it's like, dude, I'm at the point in my life, I don't give a fuck if you don't like me.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't like my show? Say la vie, motherfucker. I could not physically fucking care less if you don't like me or what I'm doing. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
No one asked you to click on it, you know?
Yeah. If you want to say something, dude, I feed trolls. I love getting into conflict. You know what I mean? I'd love to argue with you. So you're making my fucking day, you know, but I don't understand where that comes from. I've never done that in my entire life. Like, I've never clicked on something and started giving someone shit out of fucking nowhere, you know, like that I'm not doing, you know. It's like, hey, why don't you do a fucking YouTube yourself if you're so goddamn knowledgeable?
Point, right? They're not hating on you, right? They're hating on the fact that they ain't got the balls to do what you're doing. Like, that's simply it. Like, you know, like I kind of say to myself that, like, I'm a massive believer in that you're doing something right when you get them people on. Like, that's why I know that I'm not where my platform needs to be, because I'm lucky that I don't have them people yet. But I massively believe in the fact that, man, they're sat watching your show, or they'll watch your reel or whatever it is you put out there, and they don't hate you, man. They don't hate you at all. How can they hate? They can't hate something they don't know. Like, they might listen to you for an hour or two, but they don't fucking know who you are. So it's like, they're just hating the fact that they ain't got the balls to do what you're doing. And let's face it, the culture that we're lucky to be a part of is, in my opinion, the coolest culture in the world. Like, you know, tattoos, bikes, and fucking hot rods and shit. Like, there's nothing cooler than this, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why we do it. It's fucking, this is the coolest shit. Nothing is cooler than motorcycles, tattoos, and music. You know what I mean? Name something that's cooler than that. That's the fucking
No,
holy
exactly.
trinity, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fucking that's it. And it's like that's what I realized, man. It's like, and I kind of look at what people aren't saying. Like I listen, so I research, so I commented on a Facebook video the other day. A guy called Matt Armstrong on YouTube. He's building crash damage supercars, man. He's huge, like around the world. Like he's getting like 1 million plus views in less than 24 hours. Like this guy's fucking killing it, right? And he was a massive inspiration for me putting my face in front of a camera. And because like me and my kids, we wait for his videos to come up on YouTube, man. Like he's building he's currently doing a GT3 RS that he went over to America. This guy had written it off. It had 30 miles on the clock, and he's basically brought it back to England. And he's massive friends with that Tavares, who has a huge YouTube channel in America as well in the car scene. And but the point being is like he got into building cars because his girlfriend had written off her car, and he already did YouTube because he had to entertain sponsorship for his BMX career. And you go back and watch one of his early day BMX videos, and now he's making obviously stupid money. He's the same dude. And I think if you can do that, if you can like not lose who you are, which like now I have enough capability to pre-record a podcast, but I feel that if I change it, I feel like I'm selling out on what I stand for, you know? And I think that people that don't change who they are, regardless of money, because money changes everybody one way or another. If you're lucky enough, it can change you for the positive, and you can help other people and you can inspire other people. Like if I won the lottery, I wouldn't drop what I'm trying to do with 666 Customs, you know, because it's like I feel like I found something that I'm okay at, and I found my space. It's about I'm honest. I'm not a bike builder. I'm not the fucking award-winning tattoo artist. But I feel that I'm just who I am. Like what you see is what you get, and if I can inspire other people to do better, like I want other people to do better than me. Like if I can inspire somebody to pick up a camera and do a better podcast, incredible. Like incredible. Honest to God. Do you know what I mean? Like I know, like your podcast is like fucking like the Lowlife podcast is like I look at it and I'm like this is cool as fuck. Like if I can head in the same direction, awesome. You know, like Americans always sound better on a podcast anyway. You know,
I don't know, man.
You know what I mean?
We actually have quite a few UK listeners to our podcast. I think
That's awesome.
Yeah, they used to be our number 2 after the US, but now you guys are down to number 3 after Canada
second now, then?
and Australia.
Canada. Oh, wicked.
Yeah,
wicked.
Canada's number 2. Which is basically, I mean, they still pay your queen fucking money, right? So
yeah, well, she's brown bread now, isn't she? We got old Charlie. We got old Charlie boy in charge now.
Okay,
like,
yeah, okay, I forgot about that.
No, I'm not, mate. I'm not patriotic Brit anyway.
Oh, I didn't want to open up old wounds.
No, mate. No. I'm fucking like, I'm trying to get myself back to Spain, man. Brexit's fucked all this shit up good and proper.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It's yeah. I'm not, but yeah, it's.
Hey, give me 2 seconds. I got to take a piss real quick.
No worries, man. Awesome, man. So I've got about another half an hour, dude, and then I've got to fucking shoot off to work.
Yeah, I was gonna. We can start shutting it down now. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover that you didn't get to?
No, so I think I first of all, I apologize if I waffled on too much. I fucking get going. I don't shut the fuck up.
Get on the same way. It's all right.
But how do you feel it's gone? All right, because it's the first time I've ever been invited on someone else's show, man. I try not to take over.
No, I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great to do this. I mean, I'm glad that you reached out, do a little cross-pollination type of shit, you know, like, and we're, you know, like if you wanted to do a show with us, like on your platform definitely. And do a live stream or something, definitely. I'm down for that for sure too. So yeah,
I got, it'll probably be in about, I can reach out to you in a couple of, because I'm working, obviously I'm at work tonight, and then next weekend I'm actually away doing a live podcast with KKBO, the Custom Culture Show.
Oh, cool.
So it'll probably be about 3 weeks time. I can reach out and we can get you on a live, and which would be cool as fuck, man.
Yeah, just hit me up. I'm down to do a live. That'd be sweet.
I mean, I usually do them 6, 7 at night. So it's like if it's 6, it'll be like 1 o'clock for you. Yeah. If it's, you know, that type of time on an afternoon.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah. I mean, I recently just did a 3-hour one, which was like fucking. Oh shit. That was cool. That was a guy called he's actually doing like 3D printing. So he's like mocking up parts. He's just done a really cool like mesh style filter for the Super E carb, you know, like the SNS carbs, which is literally just like this really cool plate with just a piece of mesh. It's all stainless and yeah, so he like makes parts out of 3D plastic, you know, 3D printing in plastic, and then he sends them parts off to a proper machinist, and obviously they literally just take all the measurements off this part that he knows actually fits. You know, he's just done a ratchet style gearbox plate for your like your 4-speeds and your ratchet top gearboxes, you know, and it's kind of like this fucking, you kind of like, it's like a ratchet. It's like adjuster plate, if that makes any. I don't know. Obviously, I've never touched a Harley, but yeah, it like clicks. So obviously, I'm getting, because that's where you get. Some people obviously run their chain. Well, because obviously you got your drive chain from the crank to the gearbox, don't you? So it obviously you can adjust it and it won't roll forward. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and he's obviously
awesome.
he's Lyle Shorty on Instagram. Yeah, and you know he's fucking doing some really cool shit in plastic first, and then so he knows it works. Yeah. So he'll bolt it onto the frame, he'll bolt the gearbox on, and he'll know all the measurements are right, and it actually works because he's made it from plastic and not spent, a shit ton of money machining.
That 3D printing and shit, like the dudes that can pick up on that stuff, they can do anything now. You know, I love it when they're like, you know. Because they could do anything. They could make fucking space shuttle parts, but they're like, no, I want to make like, you know, shit that works on old motorcycles, parts. You know? That's so cool.
Well, imagine how cool it's going to be when it becomes affordable to use the metal 3D printers. Mm-hmm. Imagine the stuff that people are going to start doing then.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and obviously there's a balance to it, but I think like, so you're never, like at the end of the day, kind of going back to affordability on stuff where you're using Chinese parts, if you can buy a fucking... a gearbox, even a primaries, because if you can 3D print in metal, you can fucking machine fucking engine casings, right? If you can buy 3D printed ones that work and they're X amount of money, for the rich guys, they're going to continue to buy the original. So I really am a massive believer in everything has a place for everybody. You know, do you know what I mean? It's like if you can afford the period correct 50-year-old genuine Harley casings, you're going to buy them. Yeah. But if you're on a budget like people like us, like if you need a set of cases and you've got a crank and fucking pistons and barrels and all you're missing is a set of casings, but they're like fucking $2,000 or whatever they cost. Like if someone's offering you a brand new set and you ain't got to worry about them having airline fractures in them, they haven't already been plug welded back together where someone's already fucking shattered these 30, 40-year-old casings. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I think you're going to buy them, you know?
Yeah. Hey,
like I would.
Don't not do stuff because it's too expensive. You know what I mean? Like fucking figure it out, you know? Like, yeah, you want cool shit and you're poor? Better learn how to fucking make cool shit. You know, that's the whole fucking thing is
Yeah, man.
like, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to be able to buy a fucking cool motorcycle. That's how the whole thing started. I had $500. I got a piece of shit motorcycle. And I wanted to make it cool because the $500 stock one that someone rattle canned, you know, everything on, including the handlebars, that wasn't cool. So it's like, you want cool shit? Fucking learn how to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember listening to one of your guests, and I think I'm not sure if it was you or the guest, started off with a 250 Rebel, you know, and I thought that's fucking, you know what I mean? It's cool as fuck. Yeah. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't that long ago. One of your guests, recent guests, I think. But yeah, Honda 250. It's like, well, at the end of the day, if that's because let's face it, you just don't know how far someone can take their journey, right? It's like when you know, we only realize they're great when they've achieved greatness, but when you hear their backstory, which is so cool for people like what we're doing, is to get their stories out there, you know, and you get to realize like, no shit, they started on something like that. It's like, you know, I'm sure you said on one of your shows that you got into bikes into your mid to late 20s, I think.
Yeah, I was like in my late 20s.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and look at what you're doing now. You know what I mean? Who would have thought when you first bought your first bike that all of a sudden you'd be a host on like a fucking really, really cool, well-respected podcast, like where you're interviewing people around the world.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I appreciate that, man. I didn't think that I was capable of what I can do now. You know, like that's the thing for motorcycles to me is not even just like the building of the motorcycle, but like the practical application of these skill sets elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like I was a dude that brought my car in to get a fucking oil change. I don't do that now. I've changed transmissions. I've done fucking all sorts of shit. You know what I mean? Like out of necessity, because first and foremost, I'm cheap and I'm poor. So it's like when I bring my car in to get inspected and they're like, yeah, it needs brakes, it needs rotors, it needs a fucking CV joint, it needs this and that. I'm doing that work. I'm not bringing it to a mechanic to get fucked. I don't have the money to get fucked like that. You know?
No, so exactly, man.
That's the thing is like, that's what's so cool about it to me and why I want to get more people involved in it is like, because I know I have like, I had so little capability, you know what I mean? But it's like, if I can do it, I know you motherfuckers can do it. And there's people that are smarter and harder working than I am. And that's why I want to bring everybody in. That's the mission really of the show is like, I want to meet everybody that has the same attitude. Like, you know, big brass balls, dude, I can do that. Fuck it. You know, I can do that for less. And you can. It's a steep learning curve, but everybody can do this shit, you know?
Yeah, man, exactly. And that's like for me, like the idea of me building a bike, I mean, once I finish my 125cc, I'm probably less than 2,000 all in. Like I'm going to put that next, the idea of taking that to a show and putting it next to a top end build. And then I kind of almost hope that the guy says, oh, that can't be it. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, seriously, like, who are you? Like, I don't give a fuck, like, if you're a fucking multi-award winning, because face it, it's two wheels, it's an engine, and it's creativity. Like, that's all it really is. It doesn't matter, you know, and like, that's I'm kind of like, almost like a point to prove on it, you know. Not that I'm deliberately going out trying to be confrontational with people, but like for someone to tell me that what I've created doesn't matter, like it's like fuck you, you know. Like it does matter. It like, because let's face it, like you know, there are people that building a bike has saved their life. You know, they've overcome addiction or they've, you know, just given somebody a purpose. I mean, you know, I mean, I guarantee you've had messages from people like, thank you very much for this show. It's helped me keep me out of my fucking darkness. You know, I've had it, so you've definitely had it, you know? And I think that shit, like if the fact that some of your listeners, like you say, listen every week, like you don't know what they're going through. They might not want to tell you, or they might drop it in a message saying, look, dude, like I've fucking lost everything. But yeah, I look forward to the next show every week. And I think if you can do that, like, and if you don't want to do it because it might not be benefiting you money wise or something, like that's a selfish fucking act. Do you know what I mean? Like if just sat here talking about bikes can help someone overcome something or keep them entertained that they don't want to go to the fridge and grab a beer or take that next hit or whatever. Like, I know it sounds almost like a bit poetic and shit, but like, let's face it, like there are some people that this type of stuff does help them massively, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Hey, it helps me. You know, it's just, we just got 12 inches of snow. I had the fucking Black Death plague all week, dude. I felt like shit. And my dog died on Friday. So I was in a really
fucking hell, mate.
Yeah, dude. I was in a dark fucking place. But talking to people about motorcycles and the anticipation that I have of like doing a build and getting it in the garage and fucking, I don't know, man. It fucking brightens my day. Brightens my day every week is like doing this shit and talking to like-minded people. Cause we we think about the world in the same way, you know, and we value the same things. Like you were saying, it's like, dude, someone doesn't like your bike, like fuck that person. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have a cool bike. That means nothing to me. You know, what means something to me is anybody that cares about bikes and the people in the community too. You know, like when we've had like we've done like drawings and shit to try to help people that like their fucking house burnt down or fucking they got evicted from their house or something, you know? And these strangers come together to help this person out. It's like, that's what it's about, is helping people out and helping your mates out and fucking, you know, like overcoming adversity. And it's not about having money. It's not about being cool. It's not about any of those other things. It's like, that's all secondary, you know? And to see someone that you know build a sick ass bike and get a trophy. Like, dude, the trophies at motorcycle shows fucking suck. Nobody's even wants those. I don't even want to win one. Even if I had an award-winning bike, dude, some dude spent hours making this cool custom trophy in his garage, which is awesome. But you don't want to strap that to the back. I mean, they're monstrosities. It's not like you're gaining any. There's no money to be made here, you know? Like, people are just doing it for the love of it. It's not for like... It's not to win the $10,000 check at fucking Boring Free. You know what I mean? Like, that's not even a lot of money for the amount of money that costs to build those bikes that win it, you know? You just got to be in it for the right reasons, you know? And that's what it's about, is just getting everybody that's similarly minded together so then we can all hang out and fucking talk shop and talk bullshit, you know? But...
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is just like this, like the culture, whether we like it or not, is slowly fading out just because politically, not that we're getting into politics, but politically they don't want bikes on the road anyway. So it's like, I say to people, like, we haven't even got time to really fucking argue about genuine parts and like engine size this or whatever. Like we need to focus on keeping the culture alive whilst we still have the chance, because whether we like it or not, like I'm never going to buy a fucking Harley Davidson Livewire. Like, it's not happening. Like, I'm not fucking selling my soul. Like, you know, I'm just not doing it. I'm really not. It's like, I don't give a shit how fucking smelly and dirty this engine sounds or how uncost effective it is. If I can still afford to run it, I'm going to fucking run it, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And what you touched on there is like the dudes that started this shit, they're dead or dying. And we just barely picked it up, dude. Like, the fucking ball was dropping after the early aughts and like the corporations came in and raped the culture. And then guys like us, like our age group, we swooped in and we're like, all right, we're going to keep this shit alive. This is important, you know? But dude, I'm going to be aged out too. Fucking 10, 20 years from now, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have way too many health problems to keep this shit going. So we need young kids to get into this shit, pick up the torch and hold on to what's valuable, you know, like what's valuable about this community.
Exactly.
And it's not about being Insta famous or being cool or any of that bullshit. That is not cool. You know, like we were talking about this last week with Dan, like the dudes that like set up their cameras and fucking take pictures of their cuffed fucking Levi's and shit and like smoking cigarettes. It's like, you should be, if you're smoking cigarettes on the regs, you should be quitting. You know, like you don't do it for a fucking photo op, dude. But get in it for the right reasons and keep it alive, because you'll never meet better people than people that are into the tattooing and motorcycles and like they're real people. Their shirts, they'll give you the shirt off their back. They'll have your back in a fight, you know, like they'll let you sleep on their couch if your fucking old lady kicks you out, you know, like those types of people. That culture, that's what's dying. People that care about other people, you know, that actually will do something about it, like that discomforts them. But all right, man, we got to shut this motherfucker down. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. I wanted to thank you again for coming on.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
we were talking a little off camera. We're going to go on your show next and do some live shit. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, dude.
Yeah, hopefully we get some people that obviously listen to your show and get the chance to ask you questions live in the moment. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
obviously I know
awesome.
you respond to everybody, but like anyone that wants to fucking like kind of catch you off guard a little bit and fucking like, Ryan, what the fuck, like what's this, what's that, and because that's kind of
that is like interesting. Yeah,
I liked.
Yeah, doing I haven't done the live because I'm not that quick on the uptake, so you guys can ask me those hard hitting questions, have me fumble. But
that's it, that's what it's about for me. Because like you say, because some people, like, obviously I already knew you got your swamp meeting happening on the 15th of February, innit? Obviously, whenever this goes live, it was on the 15th. And like I'd love nothing more than to be there. So like, that's kind of going back to, if this is the only opportunity that people, because there'll be people that follow your show every week that may have never had the chance to ask you a question live, like, or they might have missed a live if you've ever done one. That's kind of what it's, because it's as close as some people are ever going to get to meeting the person.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe if we get a couple more Patreons, I'll fly out to the UK. UK boys, you fucking limeys,
yes.
Sign up for the Patreon, and I will buy a ticket and I'll fly out to fucking jolly old England.
Jolly, that's it, man. And there's like you said, there are some cool shows here. There are some shows. I think because obviously there'll be a slightly different take on stuff that you've already seen. It'll be very similar, but even like, oh fucking hell, like these guys are using this style of tire, or I know a lot of the English builders like to keep it correct, like how you guys are fucking laying it down. But like you say, you might get a bit of inspiration for one of your Triumph builds.
Oh yeah, TBD on that. Cool. All right, Josh, let's shut this motherfucker down. I'm gonna go ahead and say, until next time, low lives, roll the dice, get in trouble, have fun, and never stop chopping. Deadbeat Customs. Steve over at Deadbeat Customs is about grassroots motorcycle riders who take it upon themselves to build and customize their bike. They offer parts for all Harley-Davidson models and also custom parts for choppers, bobbers, trackers, and cafe racers. When it comes to building a custom motorcycle, they carry the best brands available. Go visit their brick and mortar store in Tewksbury, Mass, or at deadbeatcustoms.com. Remember, enter Lowlife at checkout and save some loot. Stay Strong Co. Sean Luke has been sent down from the heavens to bless us lowlifes with the greatest motherfucking hot sauce in the world. Sweet heat baby Jesus in the white pants heralds a message from God himself. This hot sauce is for your food. Keep it off your butthole. The shits, and the hotter than hellfire Lowlife chopper sauce. Go to staystrongco.org today and grab yourself the holy trinity of hot sauces. Oxford Co. Choppers. Chris is the original bad boy from Oxford, Connecticut. From frame restoration and repair to handlebars and hardtails. Hard parts for hard men. His hardtails are expertly TIG welded and installed in-house. Made of USA-made steel, cast axle plates, he is your man for the hardest shit to hit the East Coast since Hurricane Bob. Find him on Instagram at oxfordco.choppers. Steel City Blacksmithing. Josh specializes in handcrafted steel work right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Anything from custom motorcycle parts to hammers and tomahawks. Don't get it twisted. If it can be twisted, he's twisting it. Check him out at steelcityblacksmithing.com today.